Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Good Morning Education Show, the weekend special. And it's going to be a great time today. We're going to be having a wonderful time. And of course, Folo has broken the record once again. She's joined us early today, looking bright like a rainbow. It feels like singing the song that your true colors shining through. New colors. All right, we're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, West Africa to the entire world. If you're just joining us, this is the Good Morning Education Show. Yes, it's not a mistake, the Good Morning Education Show, but it is the weekend special. And because you're special, that's why we designed the weekend special for you. And we will be here to have great expectations, to have great conversations, and to have great experiences with you. And trust me, it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. It's always a great day on the Good Morning Education Show. Fini, do you believe that? If you believe that, tell them.
Yes, it's always a great day on the Good Morning Education Show. No matter what time zone you're in, no matter what time of the day it is, morning, afternoon, night, it is always a great time on the Good Morning Education Show. And every day is a good day to have a good day. So, yes, welcome to the Good Morning Education Show, the Sunday
Tell them
afternoon
what
in
time they
Lagos,
can catch
Nigeria.
us. Please tell them what time they can catch us with those every day.
Yeah, you can catch us on the Good Morning Education Show Monday to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. On Saturday at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and on Sundays 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. all West African time.
And on the weekend special, we get an opportunity to spend more time talking about our conversation. We take a break a bit on the headlines. The news can wait in some cases, and we'll dive into the conversation. And tonight, we will be talking about something I consider quite interesting: building your worth. Building your worth. Um, I'm sure everyone listening to us will want to find out what exactly do we mean? What is the length and breadth of this kind of conversation? Um, how does that affect an average educator? How does that affect a teacher? How can everyone build their worth? Is it something that you personalize? Is it something that is external? How do we build your worth? And so I'm going to start by asking the basic question: what can we consider as worth? Being over to you.
Okay, when we talk about worth, I we are talking about self worth. We're talking about who you are. And sometimes we interchangeably use self worth and self esteem and self confidence. But there's just a very slight difference between all of them. But let's focus on self worth. And your is how you feel on the inside of you that you're good enough and that you are worthy of all that you get from others. So it's not about oh, I get, this person does stuff they do for me because maybe because they are related to me or because I've done a good job. Or no, it's none of that. It's because I intrinsically believe that I'm worthy of all that I get. I'm worthy of all that comes to me. I'm worthy of being treated right. I don't need to pay for it. I don't need to do anything extra, in quotes, to gain favor or to curry favor from people. But the fact that I'm a human being qualifies me to be worthy of being treated right, of um, getting some extra perks like ice cream. That's on the side, anyways. But But self worth really it's that internal feeling of being worthy, of deserving of what comes to you. Good in the positive sense, that is.
How can one assess self-worth? You've talked about the description of what it is. How is it assessed when we talk about worth? How is it assessed?
Okay, so when you say how is it assessed, I'm not sure that I really get that correctly. How is it assessed? Is it how the individual assesses their worth, or how those around them assess the worth of the? I'm not so clear about that.
You said?
I'm not so clear about the assessing.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about, when you evaluate something, you can assess how rich is someone. You can assess that person's riches. That's assessment. How poor is someone? You can assess that person's liability. That's an assessment, right? How much
Okay.
car do you have? We can assess that. So how do we assess self-worth?
Okay, so for individuals, I would say that the first way of assessing, or the major way of assessing an individual's self worth, is the way the way that they present themselves. So the first way I know that you feel you're worthy of being treated right is how you show yourself, how you present yourself to me, how you speak about yourself. Sometimes we talk about humility and not blowing our own trumpets and all those kind of things. We talk about staying humble, let someone else do the praising for you. But it's not about praising yourself, but how you talk about yourself. So you call upon people sometimes and say, can you take a session, or can you we would like for you to speak on this, and they're like, no, me care, of all the people that can do this, why me? Already that person feels like, oh no, I'm not worthy of being out there, I'm not worthy of being listened to. I'm not one of those. I don't carry anything. I don't have anything to offer. That's the way they present themselves. So first of all, is about how people talk about themselves. It's not about being proud, but one thing that I learned a while ago, while I was doing one of my master's degrees, is that even if you don't know, even if you're afraid, don't show it, because sometimes your fear, your inadequacy is not seen by others. So even if you're called upon and you're asked to take up something and you really feel like, no, I can't do this thing, don't come out saying, I can't do it. Yes, I'll give it a try. And then, some people do stuff and then they come out and say, how was it? I didn't do well, Abby. I was stammering. My hair was everywhere. They are already talking down on themselves. So yeah, that's the first way of assessing a person's self-worth. And then what value do they place on themselves? What value do they place on their time? What value do they place on different aspects of themselves? Some people are always yes, 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 because they feel like they're not worthy of turning down stuff. So when you ask them to do something, whether it is convenient for them or not, they just say yes. Can you help me do this? Yes. Can you stay longer at work? Yes. Can everything you ask them is a yes, because they just believe that's what they owe the world, or that's what they owe the person asking. So that's another way of assessing. Being able to say, oh, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do that right now, or I won't be able to accede to that request at this moment, is that person being able to assess what they have ahead of them and saying, okay, for now, I can't do what you're asking of me. It doesn't mean that, it doesn't reduce my worth. It's just, yeah, I have something else to do right at the moment. So these are some of the ways that we can assess how worthy an individual feels about themselves or not.
And I like that. And it will be good for someone because I want us to take it a bit higher now. But then, what's the root cause? What's that trigger that causes people to feel this? It's like, there's a sense of worthlessness. People don't feel they are worth as they should.
So there are different reasons why people feel like they're not worthy. First of all, I would say that our environment and the way we are brought up is, we have that compulsive feeling to pull ourselves down. We have that compulsive feeling to present ourselves as little, because especially people who grew up in maybe core religious backgrounds, you're told not to blow your trumpet. We're taught that being humble is the way to God, all of those kind of things. So stuff like that, growing up background, the kind of upbringing that one has may be a major contributing factor to their sense of worthlessness. Then, when people compare themselves with others, it's another major source of feeling worthless. So, you can I look at myself and say, oh, all the people we graduated together now are CEOs or MDs of their own company, and then I'm asked to introduce myself, and I just say I'm Finfolu Falodo, not CEO, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Chairman of so and so, and then start reeling out a string of companies. So that's one reason people feel like, oh, I've not achieved anything, so I don't have any worth compared to my contemporaries, or sometimes little people younger than me. They have attained this much, so I'm not worthy of of anything serious. And for some people, it's because they have had some traumatic life experiences. So, in some cases, maybe children that were maltreated, maybe because of the loss of a parent, or maybe not even because of the loss of a parent, but they had to live with a relative, or they had to live with somebody. And some even living with their parents, they experienced some form of abuse, and they believe that they experienced those forms of abuse because they were not worthy, because they are less than other people around them, because they just look at themselves and just write themselves off. And so they feel, oh, this stigma is on me everywhere I go, everybody sees it. And because one person did this to me, every other person will do it, because they feel like they're carrying that signpost that says, look at me, I'm vulnerable, I'm susceptible to abuse. So these are some of the reasons that there are many reasons why people feel worthless, but these are some of the reasons that I will highlight right now.
Thank you very much. And while you were speaking, Olusola Olumide joined us, and I'd like him to say hello to everyone. Welcome on the
Good
show.
good evening, Rotimi. Good evening, Finfolu, and
Good
good evening to our
evening.
tribe members out there. Nice to be here once again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining. And the next question I probably would pitch that question to Olusola to address is the fact that now you've talked a bit Vin, about the feeling, of that. But the truth of the matter is, um, while people feel certain ways, we can't deny the fact that there's an element of truth in their reality. So sometimes people say, me, I've not done this before. I've not, there is a truth statement in their reality. So I want Olushola to address this um, two-sided concept where how do we why why is it that our realities threaten us rather than inspire us? Number two, how do we master, right, our reality as a call for progress rather than a question of regrets or shame or regret? Over to you.
Thank you very much. Starting with the first question, I think that also had to do with the fact that the climate in which we live, people weaponize question. I would have loved to be very vulnerable with you or be willing to be vulnerable if I know you are not going to mock me or shame me. I think, of course, somebody may say, oh, I couldn't do this, I don't know that. That they don't know it now does not mean they will not know it later if they are taught. I think it will be easy to embrace such reality if the onlooker or the person asking them the question also help to preserve their humanity. Self-worth, the issue of inferiority complex come in, and at times it goes deeper to the issue of imposter syndrome. It's actually a sort of a personality disorder that needs therapy because it destroys a lot of things. Like I said, it's good to be vulnerable. However, the fear of being mocked or shamed, there is a saying in Yoruba, wọ́n ní a kì í tojú oníkà mẹ́sàn-án kà. Somebody has 9 fingers. It's obvious to all that he has 9 fingers. It is not for you to put it to his face that, why are you having 9 fingers? Everybody is having 10 fingers. You understand from that point of view. And I have also found out that when people, maybe they are less, when you preserve their humanity, when you try to validate them, or probably also tell them how vulnerable you two had been, you discover that they'll share up, they'll open up. In fact, they will end up opening up more because they see you as somebody who is going to lift them up and not just trample on them. With the exception of few who care less, and I think we are seeing a lot of that in this generation, who could be daring. Okay, because I don't know this thing, does that make me less human? So why are you blowing the trumpet to the fact that I don't know how to do that? Yes, they care less. They just go about doing what the little they can do. So that is one of the reasons, as truth as it may be that somebody that couldn't do this or achieve that, we shouldn't poke it into their eye. I think whoever is asking question should be mindful, should be careful, especially openly. And somebody looks at you and say, where are you now? He said, I'm still managing. You mean, the person says, I hope it's not that school you are still managing since all these days. You mean with all the job flying about, you have not been able to secure a better job all this while? Only to say that openly, where people are. Of course, as human being, you feel somehow, you feel bad. But even if I couldn't get a better job, should these people make a noise out of it? You can call me aside. So that is one of the reasons. Now, on the other hand, the reason why we should learn to build on it, if you also realize that not able to do a particular thing will keep eating you up or put you down, it is a clarion call for you to go and learn how to do that thing, so that it doesn't snowball into jealousy or envy, or people begins to, how do I put it now? People begins to fight you silently. I think I once said it on this, either this platform, that I was in an audit firm because we came in as audit trainee. There were guys working in that audit firm before we got there. So when they put the advert out, they told everybody to respond. Some of us were able to do better, and we did interview and were given the job. One of the guy in that audit firm who couldn't pass the job test, it doesn't mean he knows the job. Only that the mathematics and English and whatever they brought, he may not be quite conversant with it. So he couldn't pass the written test, not talk of going to oral interview. Incidentally, I got the job. He is still on the job, only for him to realize that those of us who came at graduate training were earning more than he was earning. Unfortunately for me, the first day I reported was the day I was supposed to go and audit a firm, and he led me there. We got to the hotel where we were supposed to lodge. You know what the guy did for me? He just left me with the job and left. Imagine the first day on the job, second day on the job. He practically abandoned me there. So later, when I brought the matter up, that so and so, he said, why you people not the graduate trainee who know book? Should be the employee you people be doing it now. I looked, I said, what do I do to this guy? I had to beg him and massage his ego. I said, all those mathematics and English does not mean we know job. You have been there, you know this job. You are seeing my organ on this job. By the time I brought the matter to the manager, the audit manager, he laughed and laughed. He said, that is baptism of fire. I needed to massage the guy's ego so that he will not remove stone under my leg. I'm climbing and the guy is trying to remove stone. I will fall down. So I think it is good to reach out to those who knows or find a way to upgrade. But whether you like it or not, that thing will keep affecting the person. It's a serious behavioral disorder. Inferiority complex, or worse still, imposter syndrome. It could be terrible. Incidentally, this particular disorder, medicine cannot cure it. Have you thought about that? As great as medical science is, medical science has no medicine for inferiority complex. It has to be through the route of therapy. So, and some people, the way they present themselves, it affects personally, it affects their career, it affects their marriage, it affects their outlook. And if you don't dig deep to find out what is the problem was, some are not really introverts. It's because of incompetence. And because of the shame they have suffered here and there, they don't even want to come out again. Some will even give up. So why it is good to be vulnerable, those who are dealing with the vulnerable should not poke into their eye, and those vulnerable should not remain perpetually vulnerable. That will be wrong. Those high flyers, those you are celebrating, learn that thing. You can also learn. You can also improve. You may not be able to fly. You may not be able to run. In fact, you may not be able to walk, but please keep crawling. By all means, keep making progress. Your life is your personal project. Don't abandon your life to chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I love the way you put it, that everyone should see their lives as a personal project. Very, very important. And this is where we need to talk to everyone listening to us, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a professional, stakeholders, practitioner, business person, entrepreneur, coach, whoever you are, you need to recognize that it's almost, how do I put it? It's almost unheard of for one to think that your worth is a title that is static and conferred on you. I think that we must understand that the issue of worth is actually seasonal, periodic, continuous in nature, which is why I'm going to ask my next question. And I'd like for you to take on this question, right? Building your worth. What should be the most important step, or better still, what exactly should be the first step in building your worth? You get it well, you get a cup of ice cream if possible.
Rotimi, don't bring this Sunday, your accounting fee. It's not good.
He started this ice cream battle today.
Okay. Maybe I wasn't here then. Okay, Fee, we will appraise you. Go ahead.
This ice cream terrorism, not a problem. But that's a tricky and quite a tough question for someone to build up their self-worth. What is the first thing that they need to realize? And I would say that the first thing they need to realize is that they are worthy. You are worthy. It doesn't matter what you have or what you don't have. You are worthy. The fact that you are alive, that you're existing. We can go into the biology of it all and how you beat so many other people who could have been born by your mother, to be the one that was born. means that there is something that you carry and that you are worthy. You might not be exhibiting it right now. You might not even look it right now. Everybody has a story. Even if they were born with a dozen silver spoons in their mouth, or even if they were born as silver itself, everybody has their story. So understanding that you're worth it, understanding that you don't need to, you don't need to uh, bring yourself down or make yourself any less for anyone, for them to like you, or for them to do things for you, or for them to, you can't buy it. Just stay in that place of realizing that, look, I am a human being and I'm worthy of being, of attracting all that I desire, all that will make me an all-round human being. That's the first step, because no matter what we say, if somebody does not believe they are worth it, if I offer somebody 1 million naira now and they don't receive it from me, no matter how much I desire to give them that money, no matter how much I press to give them the money, no matter how hard I try to force the money on them, if they don't collect it, then there is no way they're going to have it. So first of all is that desire and that understanding that yes, I am worth it. That understanding that yes, I can have it. That's the beginning for me. And every other thing that we add to it, any other activity, any other steps, any other thing that we can prefer will then be built on that foundation.
Fantastic. Okay. I have my answer, and we'll see if you get that cup of ice cream. So let's hear Olushola Olumide as well.
Yes, thank you very much. I think Finn has succeeded in giving us the number one and the most important answer.
Your solidarity does not necessarily mean a vote.
Now, the that is why um, when I attend to people, in order to the first thing is to change their inner compass, because I know every other thing. A very good example. Just yesterday morning, I was attending to a boy, a very brilliant boy, and I know him to be very brilliant. He wrote SAT and he had over 1,200, but he was not contented. He knew he could score more than 1,200. Around 1,500 was his target. So because of that, he was planning to write another one. I said, no, you are not writing another one yet. The time you were preparing for your SAT, you were also writing your semester exam in school. He told me the question, he should not miss more than two that he doesn't know. The rest, he knew them. But he ended up missing about 8 because he wasn't too calm. I said, fine. This one you have written, you will use it to apply to schools in America first. If you were not given admission and scholarship, then we will conclude that you have not done well. So I told him, the next one you want to write, who will give you money? He said, my parents. I said, if I were your parent, I will not give you money. So I took him to his parents and I told them, let him apply with this one first. If this one does not fly, he will write another one. But for you to conclude that you underperform, and because of that, you're not going to use it to apply, I said there's no justification. I said, if you didn't apply, what is the probability of being chosen? He said it is 0. If you apply, no matter what, even if it is 0.1, it's still better than say yes. He says, sir, I got your point now. I said, with this one you have scored, you go on. Imagine that. That is what lack of self-belief can do. There are people who are great out there. And I share my story with young folks. And by the time I outline it down, I say, now, if you are looking up to me now, and you think I can help you, I had it worse at your age. And some of them will say, you have got this, you have got this, you have got this, you have got this. How old are you? You are 16. I'll say at 16, I have not even decided where I'm going in life. I don't even know where I was going. At 16, I had no bearing. I was just living. You are crafting something for me, which I am trying to work on and help you. At 16, I didn't have bearing. So that means if you are 16 and you know 1, 2, 3, that means you are better than what I was at 16. And if I am where I am today, that means you are in a better position to be where I am and be better than where I am. So it has to start with self-belief. Then, when the self-belief is there, it's good to reach out to those who can help you. Solution comes by asking the right question. I tell students, if you ask questions and people laugh at you, write it down. Those who laughed at you didn't know as much as you know. Keep asking the question. Because being on motion does not necessarily mean you have direction in life. Motion is different from direction. If you don't ask question, you miss your way so much. Before you decide to ask question, resources, energy, and time will have been wasted. So in order to develop your self-worth, ask the right questions. Then move to people who can validate you. Move away from toxic environment. At times, I will tell parents, it's none of your business. Why are you taunting the boy? You are telling the boy, I have a colleague. The boy had 186. He said, I spoke so much to the boy that I was even afraid the boy would not go and drink sniper. See yourself now, you didn't prepare. So and so, you know, he prepared more than you do. The boy felt so down, he couldn't eat. By the time the result of the so-called person, the mother was comparing to that one had 130. I told my colleague, I said, you will go back home and beg your son. Go and beg him and say you are sorry. They meant well, but the approach is wrong.
I sorry to interject. The truth of the matter is,
yes,
we know that sometimes these scores, they are behind the scenes factors. Some people probably had assistance or were skilled in assistance.
Yes.
So you cannot necessarily use the score.
Use that one as yardstick. But do you know there are times parent doesn't know, and an incident should not be turned to an identity. I failed is different from I am a failure. And these are the things that can help. As a teacher somewhere, you are looking at 1 or 2 teachers who are high flyers, you admire them. If you have first lesson, you ask them, what are they doing differently? If you are an administrator, she speaks very well, you know a manager, you know the top notch, another, ask them, please, what are you doing differently? Can you give me a list of books you read? I also want to be this sound. And you know how terrible it can be when, especially if you don't have good command of English, you know, it could be very, very suicidal in public. And there's some people will not even spare you. They will laugh so loud that you will know you are the one they are laughing at. And it will destroy the self-confidence and the person will don't want to talk again. So I want to believe in yourself. Secondly, ask the right question. Number 3, flock around those who can be of help to you, and a little at a step, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. A step at a time. The only thing is that don't be where you used to be. You may not be where you are going, but please don't remain where you used to be. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Ayobolale Ano is saying, true, sir, at Mr. Olumide Olushola. That's why I'm here. Thank you for always joining us on the show, Mondays to Sundays. And, you know, as you guys have put it together, it's important that people understand that, you know, if, without taking it away from what he said, you know, to just get people to understand it as a step. The first step is the step of belief. And she had actually captured it, you know. And of course, Olushola has also asked question, which is actually tied to your expectation. So your belief and your expectation, they are very important. Now, one major step that a lot of us sometimes ignore, which is why I sometimes think about it, that, you know, we are actually so privileged to have numbers of people around us. And that's the fact that it is association. that triggers worth. Association. You understand that every association completes blessings, completes wealth, completes prosperity. Association is very critical. And association is different from just people gathered, numbers of people. Association is the connect. And thankfully, yesterday, we spent time talking about the bond factor when we're saying that helping or winning with others. I'm sure if you will remember, we spent time talking about winning with others. And this is the reason, because we must recognize that that bond has a powerful effect. Your association, and of course, we hear people say it was Pat Totomi. I heard him say that in 2005 or 2006, and Olushola has also mentioned it once or twice. It says, your network will determine your net worth, meaning that the ability of your association, the quality and depth of your association, the resourcefulness your association is willing to emerge and return to you, will determine the workability of your worth in terms of finance, in terms of growth, in terms of resource access, in terms of resource control. And this is where people need to understand, because association is quite critical. In fact, the step of association precedes the step of friendship. Most people think that association comes after friendship. No, association comes before friendship. In fact, that is when you will now know where to invest your bond in your mutual connection, which you call friendship, because friendship is value derivative. Let's also understand that there's nothing selfish in that. There's nothing selfish in that. Friendship should raise, friendship should build, friendship should preserve, friendship should support. Let me share a personal experience. Something happened to me while I was in university, and with benefit of hindsight, I actually had a flaw in that equation, and I started something I didn't want to, I didn't know, I didn't have the energy to continue, and so I was trying to look for ways to just get myself out of the picture of the people concerned. So I was a bit brash about it, just so that maybe that could trigger anger and then everybody would let me out. But I didn't know that it was going to take much more than that, you know. And so I just told a friend of mine, I said, see what happened. I'm trying to get myself out of these people. And he said, don't worry. He just said, don't worry. And then he went to that group of people involved. I said, and he decided, listen to what happened. He decided to malign my character to my advantage. So he said, oh, Rotimi, you better, I'm his friend. Don't even have anything to do with him, And so they just felt like, coming from someone that was close to me, that they better take his advice. So when they let me off, I was not like, oh, so what happened? How did you do it? He now told me what he did, And I felt that that's really friendship. That's really friendship, because he stood to preserve me, to save me from unnecessary headache. You understand? And he had to do that by trying to make a different picture. Of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be the best of illustration, but we must recognize in the people we call successful people, they are loyal to this factor than anything else. We sometimes see the activity, we sometimes see the event, but we don't understand the dynamics of it. Sometimes you find out some people are here, they say, no, they're going for so person's event, and then they take a trip, they travel, they spend money, they give gifts. Sometimes they're just trying to get out of tiredness, they are back again to another person's event. And sometimes you almost want to ask in the spirit of modernization, what's the force? You don't need this. Look, you have to tell people that you can't do it. If you can't do it, but then that's not a sound advice. That's not the voice of wisdom. That's just the voice that makes you show yourself as one who is not aligning to the principle of worth. Because I have seen people rise in their profession and pursuit regardless of their age and their know-how, just because of this principle of association. And it's very critical, quite critical, you see. Um, okay, Fee, would you want to say something? Let me allow Fee. He's really gunning for this ice cream. Let's hear Fee.
I already earned my ice cream, so that's in the bag.
You
If I'm
can
going to
earn.
extra,
It is one thing to earn, it's another thing to collect.
yeah, I have earned it, and I'm going to collect it. So
It's
No,
if
another
no,
thing to receive.
don't breach the agreement, too.
I wonder, so if I'm going to earn another one, here's the question now. But you see, one thing that talking about association and our worth and our self worth is that yes, your association matters a lot too. The people that are around you matter in what you hear from those around you, whether family, friends, colleagues. There are people who have done much more than they thought they could do because of what they were hearing, because of the association that they keep. I remember an example very clearly. I had a student, a fifth grader, who had issues with reading. Now, whether it was a developmental challenge or a learning challenge, that's by the way, but she couldn't read. And she had an assessment to present. And she had to read the scripts that was given to her, at least to be able to present her her part of the assessment. And so we had to work together. I had to take the entire paragraph and break it down for her. Eventually, we took an entire paragraph and broke it down to one sentence of very simple words that she could remember. And by the time she was presenting, of course, I had to stand somewhere where she could see me so that I could prompt her when she felt like, oh, I can't do it, when she was shaking and all of that. And she presented, she beautifully made her presentation. So your association matters a lot. If she had had someone telling her, look, you can't do it, just forget about it. You've flunked this assessment. You are never this. See how old you are. You can't read. I mean, if what she kept hearing was negative, she would have stayed in that place of negativity and never believed that she could do what she did. And of course, that spurred her on to try other things. So, yeah, most definitely, our association matters a lot. We shouldn't even joke with that. If you have people around you, yeah, we've been talking a lot recently pre-COVID, and then most especially during COVID, that your mental health matters a lot. You need to consciously look out for yourself. So if you have people around you that constantly pull you down, that constantly tear down your worth, that constantly tell you when they call animals that have horns, your snail too is showing up, then you need to leave that association and move to those that will tell you, yes, you may not be there right now, but you will get there. You are good. You may not be good in this thing, but you are good in that one. So they help you see what you're good at, and they help you make it better on the way to improving on what you are not good at. So yes, I give a term of association absolutely very necessary. We cannot underrate that. Thank you and welcome, Miss KK. Now I don't feel like the only woman in this association
Fee,
anymore.
why now?
Well, the kitchen here. I
The
mean,
more reason why she will not get her ice cream.
Well, I won't subscribe to that, but when Sophie has been keeping quiet, thinking we weren't dominating her anyway. So that was why I was surprised because I've been solidly behind her.
I
Thank
No
know.
you.
problem. KK, welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Good to be here.
So, Kiki, we're talking about building your worth, and I know you are an advocate. You are a passionate advocate, of association, networking. You're one that connects with people like, almost feel like your family, and the bonding is so significant. I'd like you to touch on this conversation and just, counsel people out there. How can we commit and dedicate ourselves to building our worth?
Thank you so much, Mr. Rosimi. Another fabulous conversation. As always, I don't know how you pull these things out of your heart, but I mean, amazing, amazing one again. So when you think about building your worth in relation to your associations, these are two really beautiful well, I look at them as two different things, to be honest, because you can build your worth without associating with anybody, and you can also build your worth via your associations. But I truly believe that it all starts with you first of all. So if I don't know what I want to build, so let's look at a house, for example. If I want to build a house, I need to know the type of house I want to build. I even want to know that I want to build a house, right? And from there, I can then decide, oh, you know what? Instead of building a house by myself, in any area, maybe I should look for an estate that would give my own home and my own living experience a bit more value, a bit more depth, right? And so I can then think, okay, instead of just buying land anywhere along Ikeja, Lekki, Ekpe, you know what? Why don't I find an estate? And then I then situate myself within that estate. And it's the same way, right? Because it makes your experience sweeter. Yes, you could have a house anyway, but having it where other people of like minds are, where maybe you're a new family and that the also young children are, those sort of things matter in, like I said, in experiences. You're not worried when you're driving home that you're not seeing anybody, right? And it's the same thing. As an educator, build your worth is identify who you are, and then you can then say, oh, you know what, I want to be amongst people who are the people that make my journey as an educator worthwhile, make it a lot more interesting, right? Extend my reach as an educator, and then that's what we begin to think about in terms of where we want to pitch our tent. I life alone. I really don't. I think it's sweeter. And like I said, the experience for me matters a lot. Being able to even just be on this show with three different people makes my words last longer, right? Because I take from Fee, I take from Mr. Rotimi, I take from Mr. Olushola, and everything just makes it more beautiful. So first of all, you must identify your worth and then pitch your tent with somebody. And then whilst you're there, right, what makes building your worth in that space even more significant is because you take pride in who you are, you take pride in what you do. And so when people say something that you don't necessarily agree with, you can say, oh, I don't agree with this, instead of just living through it. And then you begin to differentiate yourself because you're not saying, right? You have a voice, you have a mind, you have a brain, and it's found that you seen that you're using it. I beg your pardon. And in that way, not only are you building your worth, you're also building other people. And just by building other people, your own value, even, I mean, honestly, just increases, right? So that's something that I would say every educator and every human being really needs association. But the quality of your association matters a lot. And Finny, thank you for what you were saying. I think that's so critical. A lot of times, we just don't realize that the people that we associate with, and the places they take us to in our minds, in our mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, we don't see how much it matters, and it does, right? And so that's the really important. When you think about building your work, you can do it in both ways. You can do it externally by being associated with all these amazing people, but how about on the inside of you? Is that association killing you? Right? And if it's killing you, you need to learn how to just get out of there as well. So those are the two angles, well, three, that I would look at it. First, you need to build yourself. Two, you need to say, where do I want to situate myself? And then three, you need to be able to say, these situations, are they making me look good externally, but on the inside, I'm dying? And then in that way, you can then decide, I want to move away, or I want to keep building this. This is worth building. Oh, yeah, back to you, Mr. Rosary. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And trust KK. KK is like when you're cooking Thanksgiving meal, and you're looking for those spice or those ingredients. You want to make the turkey well seasoned. So KK just comes in with some additional spice. Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. That's such a nice thing to say.
So maybe you earn another name. I will aim to your Dr. KK edible cake. Anyways, don't mind me. So, what you said raised this question in my mind, and I'll probably push it to Olushola Olumide. And the question is, where do we get to? where do we get our direction from? Talking about our worth and our identity, living in the consciousness of the world has so much is prescribing as to the norm. It's so heavy on us that before you even think of what should I do today, the world is saying this is what the list are. Trend is dictating what the moves are. Industries are almost invading your space. So where do we get direction from, especially trying to build our worth?
Thank you very much. I will start by saying the locus of control should be within us. The rate at which trend, issues, opinion counts, there appear to be divergent view. And one thing I have realized in life is this: if you don't know where you are going, you are left with the only option to follow those who know where they are going. Unfortunately, their destination is not your destination. You must know where you are going. And that is critical. It helps you. You are not just being overly pressurized. Another thing I tell people handling pressure, I will tell them, don't run mad for people that cannot handle your insanity. It's good to have example, to follow people, to learn from others. However, you must have reason for whatever you're doing. And once that reason is sorted out, it may not align with everybody. Everybody may not even believe in it. Everybody may not appreciate it. As long as you are not doing something horrible or terrible or evil, this is what I want to be. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. And you have your why. Once you have your why, keep following it. And have a mental picture of where you are heading to. Don't just tilt. If you don't know where you are going and you don't have your why, the person will just be like a rudderless ship on the ocean of life. Unfortunately, in the air, on the ocean, you cannot get midway and tell the sailor, the pilot, sorry, I think I missed my way. I want to come down. You can't come down. It's like somebody stayed at the bus stop and saw a vehicle. He didn't find out. Is the vehicle heading towards Agege or Ikeja? You are at Baga. They call Agege, you didn't hear, you enter. By the time they turn towards Ikeja, you say, no, I'm going to Agege. So will nobody call Agege for you? So ask the question, where are you going? And you don't just because everybody is rushing into the bus that is heading toward Ikeja, you just enter. And you are going to Agege. Know your why. Follow your why. Build yourself. There are certain things you pick up from people you learn to add to yourself. It's not everything. Pick some, add it to you. There are some other things they are doing, great things, but it's not part of your fancy. It's not part of your line. It's not what you want to do. So we should not just follow trends because along the line, that something is trending does not necessarily make it satisfying. Yes.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
to ask this question, and I hope that Finn will be able to do justice in 1 minute, 60 seconds. Another benchmark for getting ice cream, by the way. I
The
know the
second
word,
ice cream, I guess.
I know, I know the word prescription is so huge. I feel sad sometimes when you see sometimes knowledgeable people forget to understand the relativity of their stand. Sometimes you'll see wrongful comparison, and it's almost like everybody just gets on that bandwagon and just start commenting, this is the way things should be done, forgetting that everyone's life can never be subjected to common ground rules. Everyone decides the path to take. So if I'm not doing something, it doesn't mean I am not living, doesn't mean I'm useless, doesn't mean I'm not patriotic. On that note, Finn, if someone has missed their way, listening to what Olushola Olumide said, how can they find their way back? Because to be honest, sometimes the noise out there can make you feel stuck, and sometimes some people have already missed their way.
Okay, I would say that going in the wrong direction would never take you to the right destination. So if you have missed your way at one point or the other, what you should do is to retrace your steps and find the right direction, find the right path. Because you have made a mistake at one point, or because you have gone so far in self doubt or in seeing yourself as unworthy, does not mean that you should continue on that trajectory. So you have missed the way, or you have gone in the wrong direction. Please just get the right compass, find the right direction, and walk in the right path again.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, interesting. So I'm going to ask KK this last question. I'll probably use that question to wrap up, right? And so we are building our worth, right? Can KK just help us in wrapping up, and what should be our priorities, as we do so? We're building our worth. What should be our priorities? Over to you.
Wow, Rosimi, that's such a difficult question. And I mean, it's good, but it's difficult. It's difficult because I mean, when I think about priorities, mine are so different from everybody else's, right? And my priorities change depending on what I'm doing, who I'm with, what stage I am in my life, So there's not one answer, to be honest, to that question, and it's dependent on your right now. So and I'm going to use myself as an example. When I think about my priorities, it's almost like when people say, oh, what's your vision? My vision at a particular point in time is what I'm looking at. And I'm not stupid enough to think that that vision is not going to change. It will change, right? And so at every point in your life, like Finny said, going the wrong direction, no matter how far you've gone in that direction, doesn't mean it's the right one. It is the wrong one. And it will not take you to where you want to go. So in thinking about priorities at every single point in time, you must ask yourself, what is my why? And that's a beautiful thing, Dr. Mr. Olusola, I'm giving him doctorate. So they said, and not that a doctorate is a bad thing, but so you must prioritize your why. What is my why? And why am I doing this? And if you cannot answer that question, then that's a sad thing, right? Because it means that you're just doing it and you really do not have a purpose, right? The reason why, what is it, 12 men or is it 24 men get on the field and run around a football and they're chasing around that football is because they want to score those goals, right? So what goal are you trying to score at a particular point in time? And what is that 1, 2, 3 things, and not too many, right? 1, 2, 3, I say again, that would help you the most in making sure that you get that ball through that net. Once you know what those things are, then you can begin to look around you and say, okay, so how do I do this? Once you've known what you want to do, prioritize that. And then you need to prioritize the how. How are you going to do this? And then you might go a step further and say, who can help me do this again? So, and in finding your how, you can then find out the things you cannot do yourself. And then you will be able to say, who can help me do this? And again, that's where building your worth comes in, because you've looked around, you have a social currency that you can rely on, and then you can leverage it. So that's what I would say in terms of the priorities. What is that one thing you want to do right now, or 2 things you want to do, and what are the 1, 2, 3 things that would further that goal? Maybe not the quickest, but the most effectively. Back to you, Mr. Rosimi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. On that note, I believe that we've been able to deal with the question and the subject matter at the same time, building your worth. I think that as we wrap up on the show today, people must understand that it's something they must commit to and they must review and reflect from time to time. Building your worth is not something that will end up being an internal plan and pursuit, because your worth is most times expressed on the external. It's driven on the inside, expressed on the external. And you need to begin to build on the your of your worth. And at the end of the day, remember, like they've all said, please don't be subject to just watching people do things. Make sure that you are authentic to who you are and what you truly represent. And on that note, we're calling it an evening on today's special episode on the Good Morning Education Show. And we will be saying goodbyes. And as we start this new week, we will be here tomorrow. And tomorrow we have an interesting conversation. Fee, do you want to help us with our topic tomorrow? So, Olushola, you see why she's not getting the ice cream?
No, haba. That's so
Let
unfair.
her let her talk. Oh.
Exactly. I haven't even answered yet.
Uh-uh.
So tomorrow we're talking about scandal-free education.
He said what?
Scandal-free education.
Okay, so
That's great.
My ice cream,
ice cream free education, standard free education. So thank you so much. So we'll be saying our goodbyes at the count of 2. 1, 2, go.
It's always
Great.
a great day on the Good Morning Education Show. Make una bring Titi to this weekend special.
I do, yes. So this is
Bye.
Bye, everyone.